I know it's a little bit backwards, but sometimes your managers and your bosses, they actually work for you. And what I mean by that is if they're not creating opportunity for you, people leave. Like when you start a company, like in the first couple of years, you're kind of working for your employees. It's very rare that you start a company and you're profitable in the first couple of years. If anything, you're kind of working to make sure that your workers are actually getting paid and they've got a job opportunity and that the business is going to grow and you're going to be able to make money. But I can tell you.
Yeah. No, listen, I use this example before. I mean, I've never been an employee of Gas Digital. I'm like a contractor, I guess. And like I own part of the problem, but I contract it to Gas Digital. And that's kind of our agreement. But I'll tell you, I was here from the very beginning of starting off this podcast network, and it's become very successful. And like Lewis and Ralph do very well now. But I was making money way before Lewis and Ralph were making money off Gas Digital. This is just a fact. Because I never really put any risk into it, and I didn't have to pay for any of the overhead or anything like that. And they were the ones trying to build up this company and invest all of this into the future. So it's, yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And there's many examples of that.
You know, I've definitely had shitty bosses and shitty managers. That's part of jobs. And sometimes the idiots do move forward. But I've also seen a lot of very clearly why some people got promoted. And even people who were like, oh, good, that guy's going to be my manager now. And an actual excitement to have that guy be your manager, especially in sales offices, because you're like, oh, that guy's going to make me money. He actually knows how to help me close deals. He knows how to prospect. You know, he's going to keep us motivated. So it's not always like there's some guy standing over you with a whip, you know?
Yeah. And I'll tell you, there's also one more thing, right? Like there's also a lot of different jobs, and this is true a lot, where people don't want the promotion. There's a lot of jobs where people don't want to be the manager, or they're like, oh, like, you know, they'll actually come to you because you're like the best salesman or whatever. Be like, hey, do you want to manage the whole team? You'd be like, no, I really just want to make sales.
I've seen that. Yeah.
I really just want to make sales because the increase in pay is not enough to justify taking on all the responsibility and the headache of managing this whole thing. And a lot of people want to be like, listen, I'm good at my job. I will come in, I will do my job. I want to get paid a reasonable wage for what I do. And then I want to go home. I don't want to stick around and vote on every single issue that's up for discussion. That's just a fact that a lot of people don't want to do that.
You can also flip this guy's argument against democracy and go, oh, look, there's a different system that seems to work really well at creating value, that people that otherwise wouldn't have jobs are able to show up to a place and get paid. And you got some other structure here where people are able to, I guess, freely trade amongst each other, my time for your money.
Well, yes.
And they seem to be organizing each other really well. If anything, it might be an argument against democracy.
Well, look, I mean, there's also like, for these people who are like, well, look, we love democracy. Why shouldn't we extend it to the workplace? Well, I'll just say to you also, like, why shouldn't we extend it to like everything? I mean, like, why shouldn't we all vote on who you marry? Or we all vote on what outfit you wear today, or we all vote on what you eat, or we all vote, you know what I'm saying? Like, are there some areas in life where you would grant that, like, oh no, these are kind of limits of democracy. And the reason being, who the fuck do you think you are to get a vote? Right? Like, basically, like if I was like, should everyone vote on like what me and my wife, where me and my wife go out to dinner next week? Or can we just choose? Like, because who the fuck do you think you are to tell me, right? You get the point I'm making.
Yeah.
And if there's somebody who, which is the case for many companies, okay, who literally like works their ass off for years. First off, it's their idea. They put their investment into it. They put their time and energy into it. Like, look, for someone who comes to a new employee to Gas Digital today, who just gets hired now, should they get, is it really, would you say this is fair or just if they had the same equal say as Ralph and Lewis have over what the policy of Gas Digital is? Where these guys have been like literally invested their money, their blood, sweat, and tears for years to create something. Now you come in when it's already created and think you just get to tell them what to do. No, they made you an offer. Are you willing to come on board to this machine we already have for X? And if yes, then yes. And one more point to it like that, right, is that like, so just to use another example, again, I'm not an employee, but I'm a part of, I believe, the two biggest shows on the network. I might be wrong about that, but I think Legion of Skanks and Part of the Problem are the two biggest shows on Gas Digital. Legion of Skanks is definitely number one. Part of the Problem is definitely very close behind, whatever the answer to that is. I don't have a vote. I actually have no official authority. I have no like ownership stake in Gas Digital. I have a lot of power. You know what I'm saying? Like if I really want something to happen, I can, and not just because like I'm friends with the people involved and stuff like that, but like because I bring a lot of money in. And that means something. Like if you bring a lot of money, if you're very good at your job, then it's going to be like kind of like, oh, okay, that's an issue. Like, and this is true for everybody. You have some power over me because you're very good at your job as being my co-host. And Brian has some power because he's very good at his job of being my producer. I mean this like completely genuinely. Like if Rob was like, yo, I don't like this. I don't like what you're doing with this show. I'm going to leave if we keep doing this. I'd have to be like, whoa, okay, I got to sit down with you. Cause like, shit, if you leave, then fuck, well, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. And that's, you know, like, so there, it's not a vote exactly. It's much, much better than that. It's a meritocracy. You actually have the amount of influence that you deserve. And if someone really sucks at their job, they don't have much of that because like you're very replaceable.